to my channel. I am your host, the Southwest Witch, and today we are going to be talking about Halloween, All Hallows Eve, the Witch's New Year, or as I call it, Samhain. I'm super excited to share this one with y'all because it's probably my favorite holiday and Sabbath of the year, so without further ado, let's get into it. So as I mentioned before in my last Witchy Wednesday, as an eclectic witch, I base my practice on parts of various traditions that I blend together. One of these traditions is the celebration of a set of 8 pagan holidays known as the Eight Sabbats, or the Wheel of the Year. For me, and for most pagans who celebrate the Sabbats, the Wheel of the Year consists of 4 solar or fire festivals that correspond to the solstices and the equinoxes, and 4 seasonal festivals that celebrate or mark a sign of seasonal change. And while the 8 Sabbats as a complete set don't really come from any one particular culture, it's estimated that each of these holidays have been individually observed in various forms and in different places around the world for at least the last 12,000 years. As a matter of fact, all of you have probably celebrated some form of at least a couple of these Sabbats, if not all of them, without even knowing it. You just might have known them better by their more modern names. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. Ever sing a Yuletide carol or light a Yule log? That all comes from the Sabbat Yule, which is also known as Yuletide, the winter solstice, or probably better known as Christmas. Next up would be Imbolc, which became known as Candlemas or St. Lucia's Day. Ever paint eggs or wait patiently for a magical rabbit to leave you gifts to find? Those would be traditions from the ancient Sabbath of Ostara, also known as the spring equinox, Passover, or Easter. Ever watch the May Day parade or hear of people dancing around a maypole? Yep, another Sabbath. This one would be the Sabbath Beltane, also known as May's Eve in some parts. The Sabbath Litha, which celebrates the summer solstice, is also known by the name Midsummer and is also connected to an ancient Roman holiday called Vestalia. The Sabbath Lammas, also known as Lunasa, became better known in some places as First Harvest. Mabon, another one of my favorite holidays, which celebrates the autumn equinox, is actually one of the bases for the very popular holiday known as Thanksgiving. So that's pretty much the entire year of Sabbath that you've probably been celebrating right alongside us witches without even knowing it. It's pretty crazy, huh? And while each of the other Sabbats will also be getting their own respective videos, you might have noticed that I left one off of that list. Well, before y'all start commenting, hello, you forgot the one in the title, back away from the keywords because I've been saving the best for last. That little walk through the Wheel of the Year has brought us right back to my favorite Sabbath, the Witch's New Year, Samhain. Samhain marks the end of warmer days and the start of the darker half of the year as the nights begin to get colder and longer. It's a celebration of harvest and abundance and is also a day to commune with and honor the dead. It's believed that during this time, the veil between the living world and the spiritual realm is at its thinnest, allowing spirits to cross over into our world much easier. The history of this Sabbath is actually pretty cool, as its associations with the darker half of the year and connecting with those that have passed on were feared by some groups who came across it over time. For example, the church at one point made an effort to adopt and modify the Sabbath, as they do, into a day of feast and prayer to honor their pantheon of saints. They first attempted to create Michaelmas, which was supposed to be a day to honor Saint Michael, but that never really ended up catching on. So when nobody ended up wanting to celebrate their new holiday and continue to follow the older traditions of Samhain, the church was like, you know what guys, scrap that, this is what we're gonna do. You know what's better than one saint? All of them. Introducing All Hallows Eve, which later became known as All Saints' Day, which today is still celebrated as one of the holiest days in Catholicism. And to deter people from the older traditions associated with the holiday, guess what they did? They decided to start telling everyone that it was a night boiling with evil spirits and witches out taking their pet demons out for a walk. All of which, of course, could only be dispelled when morning broke on All Saints' Day to the ringing of church bells. I mean, is it accurate? No. But you gotta love the drama of it, right? Well, today there are many ways that witches might celebrate this Sabbat, depending on what traditions they base their practice on. In many European traditions, Samhain represents a night when the deity known as the Old God dies, and the crone goddess mourns him for the next 6 weeks, resulting in the season of winter. The Celtic belief that all dead souls return to the crone goddess's cauldron of life, death, and rebirth is actually what later became recognized as the popular Halloween image of an old hag menacingly stirring her cauldron. Although that's definitely not how witches or pagans see her. In nearly all of the Western pagan traditions, deceased ancestors and other friendly spirits are invited to join Sabbat festivities and be reunited with loved ones. For witches, these spirits, especially ancestral ones, or those of the recently deceased, are asked for help in things like various spells, rituals, and divination. For those following Norse traditions, Samhain is a time when the power of their deity Loki, the trickster god, reaches its peak, making it a holiday of pranks, lavish feasting, circle games, and other forms of merrymaking. Now, these are just a few different traditions that witches might draw from to celebrate Samhain, and since there are too many to fit into one video, I thought it'd be cool to share with y'all how I personally celebrate Samhain. So as I mentioned very briefly in my video on La Llorona, which y'all should totally check out here, I am mestizo, which means that my heritage is half Spanish European and half from the indigenous people of Mexico. I pull a lot from both sides of my heritage in my daily life, but especially in my practice. From my European side, I pull traditions such as carving pumpkins for this Sabbat and lighting them to help keep away unwanted spirits during this time. And from my indigenous Mexican side, I celebrate Samhain with the 2-day celebration of the holiday Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. As I mentioned about Samhain earlier, Dia de los Muertos is believed to be the time of year when the veil separating the realms of the living and the dead are their thinnest. Now, while it's traditional to visit the actual grave sites of your loved ones during this time, since my family doesn't actually live in the same places where a lot of our loved ones are resting, we prepare an ancestor altar every year called an ofrenda. We put up a picture of each member of our family who has passed on, and we leave them offerings of things that they may have enjoyed during their time in the realm of the living so that they may enjoy them again. These might include things such as favorite foods, favorite drinks, or for example, if somebody was known to enjoy cigarettes or cigars while they were alive, we might leave offerings of those too. Another very important part of setting up the ofrenda is the use of a flower called cempasúchil to decorate the altar and make a path of its petals to help guide our loved ones back to us. Now, the origins of this particular practice is so ridiculously beautiful that I just knew I had to share it with you guys. So the use of these flowers, known in Nahua as cempasúchil, is an ancient Aztec practice which was recorded by one San Bernardino de Sahagún. Yes, the same one from the Llorona video. The use of these flowers is believed to be connected to a romantic Aztec myth about two lovers named Xochitl and Huitzilin. According to the legend, the two lovers would often hike up to the top of a mountain to leave offerings to the sun god Tonatiuh and swear their love and commitment to each other. Now, one day when Huitzilin was tragically killed in battle, the heartbroken Xochitl decided to pray to the sun god to ask him to reunite them on earth. Tonatiuh, moved by her prayers and her offerings, grants her wish by sending a ray of sunshine that transforms her into a flower as golden as the sun and reincarnates her lover as a hummingbird. When Huitzilin as a hummingbird approaches Xochitl, who's now a flower, her 20 petals bloom as the two lovers are once again reunited. Is that not the most romantic thing you've ever heard? Along with the ofrenda, we also usually make a special dinner on this night as we invite the spirits of our loved ones to join us. It's a beautiful tradition that I cherish getting to spend with my family, and I also love the feeling of connection to my ancestors that it gives me. Well, that was just a little taste of how some witches might celebrate Halloween, and I hope you found it as interesting as I do. Go ahead and leave a comment down below about how you celebrate this magical holiday. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you had a magical time. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe for more witchy content. I hope to see y'all next time, and as always, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.